FedEx full, we commanding the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, ain't no need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Commanders moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. KDot and Amit, dissect the grind. District divider with a city in mind. Join the damn squad, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the words, or shit is shit. KDot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is KDot. This episode, it's about the New England Patriots. We had the joint practice with them. We're going to be playing against them tonight, 7:30 p.m. You can see the game on CBS. We're going to do a quick preview and who we're looking out for. So we start with the joint practice. We conclude with that preseason game preview, comment mailbag, and in the middle, a little bit more Terry McLaurin talk. So before we begin this episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and KDot.
Shout out to South Korea. Yeah. And then Terry's holding in. Peters won't submit. Pat's on deck. Hartman's gonna rip. We're done waiting. This is it. Football's back, bitch. The shit is shit.
Share this shit. Football is back. Finally, your Washington Commanders are playing a game just 5 hours here. It's going to be great. And we're also going to be live right after the game is done so that we can talk about the players that impressed, the players we were disappointed by, what went well, what didn't, maybe some funny moments in the game. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it, KDot. So we went over to Foxborough, went to Gillette Stadium, and we ended up having a joint practice with the New England Patriots. And so it's a couple days ago now, and some fireworks. First off, shout out Mike Vrabel, getting a little bit of blood, jumping in that pile and earning the respect of his players. He already had it, but even more so now. And other than that, there were a lot of reports from New England beat reporters. John Keim immediately was like, hey, for anybody that was pissed off about us not reporting by the second, relax. We do our jobs too. But KDot, I'll send it over to you. There was a lot of information around this joint practice. Who did well, who we were hoping to hear more from. What were your takeaways?
My takeaway is that everybody needs to calm the fuck down. So like this,
Write that out. Calm the fuck down.
Yeah, the joint practices itself. I mean, rarely are they truly that illuminating. I think the only time that I could think about in the past was the Ravens joint practice, where it was sort of like all off season. We had heard about how one side of the football was doing really well. But then come to find out come game time, it's because the other side of the football sucked ass. So the hope right now is that there were a couple things you hear about, like the secondary. So like I did hear Trey Amos had a pretty solid outing. Marshawn Lattimore always getting scrappy with him. Apparently he might have been one of the genesis for the fight or something that occurred. Mikey Sanders still getting the tip interception near the end of the practice, but it wasn't like a huge deal or whatever. But when you looked at the numbers for the Patriots quarterbacks, they did kind of move the ball down the field a bit when the joint practices. So I guess the only part that you might be concerned about if you look back at previous years of joint practice and try to take something from it is that, so Terry McLaurin's not there. Secondary's been lights out all this offseason. Is it because our wide receivers suck? Like,
make you think.
Possibility. So I think that everybody kind of looking at it, the big thing I think coming out of the joint practice was Terry McLaurin's name got dropped a lot more times in the sense like, hey, you might have more leverage than you think, buddy. But I mean, you don't have Terry there. You don't have Noah Brand there. Basically, both your deep threats. You end up seeing a lot, from what I've heard, that they were doing a lot of like that Cliff Kingsbury sort of style of football, which is like a lot near the line of scrimmage. And it's basically because they didn't have guys to push the ball down the field. But I still think the offense mostly is going to be a lot of that. But you have to have the ability, the option to throw down the field. Jalen Lane, rookie, just getting his fucking feet wet. You can't really ask a whole lot of him at this particular point. And it's not like Jalen Lane's coming in here having like a Terry McLaurin type rookie camp. He's a guy. So like, we're still trying to figure it out. He's shown flashes. He's getting there. And I know Cliff loves his ass. Yeah, beyond, I think that's probably the biggest thing. Anything as far as Jaden, I take with a grain of salt. Anything with the running backs, I take with a grain of salt because they're not really taking anybody down the full way, right? Nobody's actually showing anything as far as from a game plan standpoint. What I always liked to see how the coaches seem to react to things. And from what I saw, Cliff, Joe, all those guys seem to be happy with a lot of what it is they saw, at least to some degree. It looks like, especially Joe Witt, the Joe Witt part of it, knowing how much he's talked about the defensive backfield, and also knowing how brutally honest Joe Witt was all last season and just period, to hear that he's still high on these guys makes me think, okay, these joint practices aren't really necessarily indicative. They're not necessarily indicative of anything going forward as far as the team goes, as much as it's like, they were able to do some stuff around some people that they're not usually around.
That's the main point, right? You're spicing things up. You're finally going against another team. You're allowed to hit a little bit, and it's just an exciting moment to see, hey, how do we measure up right now with the vanilla stuff? You're not up to unleash your playbook on anybody, which is why I'm always particularly interested in the one-on-ones.
Yeah.
Because that is like, oh, okay, it's just skill versus skill, technique versus technique, power versus power. And my big takeaway and win for our team, Laremy Tunsil is a guy. We already knew that, but apparently tossed someone into our bench, which led to a skirmish, which you just love to hear that from a left tackle. Knowing the history of our franchise, you got Chris Samuels, you got Trent Williams. Why don't you go ahead and add Laremy Tunsil to that mix as well? That's great. Good start. And speaking of good start, how about Josh Conerly? More than holding his own at right tackle. It is not as easy as people think to transition from left tackle to right tackle.
Yep.
Early reports are he is doing quite well with that. He went against Christian Barmore. He went against Harold Landry, held his own and then some. Looks like, once again, with that technique, he's getting it down. He's doing pretty well so far. So the bookend tackles, at least early indications are they're good, because to contrast, once they were allowed to rush all four of those guys on defense, the Patriots, a lot of interior pressure is what was reported. And so, again, Brandon Coleman was not there.
Right.
Important to note. Sam Cosmi, not there. Important to note. But nonetheless, interior pressure. So the bookends were the big thing. And the other exciting note, perhaps from the side piece perspective, Travion Henderson, who was a guy you and I were both pretty high on, apparently turfed Von Miller. That turned into a skirmish as well. Known for his pass blocking. But that was just a fun little note of like, oh, okay, the boys are hitting right now. So that's about it. And Jaden, last bit, head and shoulders above everybody else. Patriots reporters were also like, when they could recognize it was him and not Josh Johnson, man, this guy is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Nice getting a fresh perspective on that as well. But Jaden did his thing. He was great.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that, that's part of the thing that me and you kind of got into last week as far as the Terry stuff, was that I think there's a through line this offseason as far as Jaden taking the next step in his leadership, and how he's commanding things or how he's just operating. Even seeing him in like a fucking Madden commercial the other day, it's like, okay, our guys reached another level.
The beat is
like
fire on that thing too.
He's our guys there, and the fact that we got a guy who just likes to stay home and think about football. Could you ask for anything better? Like, we got our guy. Like, that's a great thing. But with the Terry McLaurin of it all, it's nice to see. As I've said, on offense, it is a known fact. If Terry McLaurin walks in the room, he is your leader on the offense, right? Like, that's the guy. That's the heart and soul. You can see it in the locker room speeches, all this sort of stuff. He's sort of able to take that. And I think that there is an element of, in his absence, if there's any silver lining, which, trust me, you got to search with a fine-tooth comb to find the fucking silver lining, is Jaden stepping up. And this is cool to see that, like, he's able to, like, this is his offense. I mean, we know from the talent standpoint, it's his offense, but he's really putting his mark on it now.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say it's something, just to be clear, but I would also say not nothing when we talk about the wide receivers right now, outside of Debo and their inability to separate. Right. Currently, it sounds like Jaden, there were a couple of videos. Jaden put it on the money. We saw the one on Commander's Twitter, literally from their Twitter account, where Ja'Cory Brooks makes the really nice one-handed grab. We also saw the other one where it looks like he'd never played football in his life, and it smacked him in the helmet in the corner of the end zone. So, that's something Terry comes down with, recognize that, but it is early days. Not something, not nothing. We're going to go ahead and continue monitoring that, because it does look like there will be more time to monitor that with the preseason game. The Bengals game is a Monday night one, so that's under the lights. How do they do under the lights? Because for a lot of these guys, it's going to be the biggest game they ever play, right, at the pro level. So that is a great way to evaluate players over there. On that note, around the preseason game, the starters will not be playing. Jaden will not be playing, so it's going to be Sam Hartman. It's going to be Josh Johnson for QB3, because Mariota also did not travel. And so expect to see some of those backups. We'll touch on those names later. Any final thoughts here, KDot, before we move over to Terry?
No, it was good. We're in that part of the season where it's like, just keep it schmedium, guys. Like I know the excitement, the anticipation is through the roof, but like we're gonna watch something that resembles football tonight. Like there's gonna be things you're gonna see. And trust me, you had all this build up. I know goddamn well if you're watching, you probably did not watch the Hall of Fame game in its entirety. Preseason football is a special thing, and trust me, but 2 weeks from now, we'll be pretty fucking tired of this shit and ready for fucking football. So just pump the brakes, calm down. There's nothing. There's no doom and gloom, and there's also no Super Bowl run that we're gonna find out because of anything that happens over the next few weeks.
Yeah,
chill.
Exactly right. And with that, let's go over and talk about the ongoing saga that is. It is the Terry McLaurin contract negotiation, currently holding in, meaning he's not racking up $50K a day fines.
Right.
He is around. He requested the trade. We did the live stream. Thank you all for joining. Those that did and those that didn't, go ahead and check it out. Kate and I yelled at each other some. It was 4 hours in a row of just recording stuff. So here is the latest that we got from John Keim in his latest episode. Where, thank you very much, KDot, he drops the nuggets saying, I think Washington could get to 28 million. I just don't know if that would be enough for McLaurin's side. And so this is something, KDot, you and I have talked about ad nauseum, right? Where's that midpoint going to be? So if Terry, for this example, wants 33 because he wants to beat DK Metcalf, so that 33.3, and the Commanders' opening offer, according to Jeremy Fowler, 25. Yep. Then, we're looking at 29. You get something from Keim going, okay, well, if I think they could get to 28, right, which is a little below that midpoint. Yeah. And then I've got my document to take multiple times, which is I think the 30 number is very important to Terry. Don't know if he signs anything below that. So we're continuing to get puzzle pieces. We're continuing to figure out what's true, what isn't, what's coming from where, etc. Your thoughts, Kate, on the latest moment that is.
I mean, kind of same old when it comes to any of this shit. I mean, at the end of the day, it sort of falls in line with exactly what it is that I thought when we were looking at the first numbers that we were just sort of guessing about based on some of the stuff that we were hearing as far as we keep going back to that 25, 35, 30 number. Those three numbers as far as what people are looking at. And I said that, well, look, based on what it is that's happening as far as the DK number, where it is a little, it's like it seems like 28, 29 seems to be the sweet spot to me. And I still think that that's probably the spot, is that 28, $29 million. I think at this point it's going to be, I can only imagine there's so many complexities to the contract itself. Like, Lord knows what it is that's the sticking point. You're going to have the average per year, which we know at this point, there's pretty much a chasm there. We don't know what's going on as far as the guarantees, length of contract, all this other stuff that all plays into it, right? So what does it mean for Terry to feel respected amongst like DK Metcalf or some of the other guys? Does he need more guarantees than some of these guys? Does he need to have the average millions per year to be in that realm? If you look at the DK Metcalf contract all the way through, you start like really parsing it through as far as some of the bonus stuff, some of the incentives, things like that. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? And is Terry like, all right, well, fuck that. I don't want that. I don't need all of that. I want it kind of baked into the contract. When you look at like some of the incentives and the stuff that they have the DK Metcalf, the true value of the contract is really that $30 million mark. So like that at least what I'm seeing. So I still think 28, 29 is that thing. It feels as though that's the number that would make, like I've been begging for everybody to just be just uncomfortable enough to get through, and it just let's play these fucking games. And then whatever happens down the road or down the line, it can happen. Because I think that if you get that 28, 29 million to Terry, I think for Terry's standpoint, it might not be exactly where it is he wants to be. But I'd say if enough has happened in Washington where you're like, I don't want to be here going forward, I'd tell you that contract's a lot easier to fucking move around, and potentially somebody give you some more money if you have a good year. Just saying, you got some options there. So I just hope he's getting good information, and I hope that at least what it is that we're hearing seems to be a modicum of truth. Because I'm starting to feel as though I got a good picture where everybody's standing, and like I know where I'm at on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I am now resigned. So that's where I'm at, where I don't think the team, and we said this very early on, once training camp started, I don't think the team is getting to 30. If they do, then I think this does get done, just to be clear. Yeah. I don't think they get there. If they do, it's with lower guarantees than DK. So now I'm thinking the only way it could get done is if you do get to that 28, 29 mark, but the guarantees are more than DK. Okay. And I don't see that either. So I am now saying I do not think a deal gets done. I do think that what can be palatable for both sides at this point, KDot, is you give him a raise this year, sooner rather than later, and you just go, hey, it doesn't look like we're moving anywhere. You want to test the market because you want that amount. Go right ahead after this. Here's a raise. We won't tag you. Be free after this. And that way he plays for us one more year. That's important to me personally, just because I think it's so important for Jaden's second year. When I gave you the 3 reasons, number 1 was Jaden Daniels' development. Give me 2 years of Terry. If he needs to go after that, he needs to go after that. Yeah. But that's where I see it now with the puzzle pieces that I think I have available to me.
But in my opinion, unless what we saw in the joint practice ends up being the absolute just truth about the team, which is that we don't have receivers that can create any space, we can't throw the ball down the field. It's just a non-existent thing for us. That's the only thing that I can see that Adam Peters actually comes to the table and actually relents on maybe where his stance is currently. Terry, once again, the only leverage that he really wields is not playing and knowing that the team itself is not going to be as good without him. And that's the only frail thing. And I think everybody's on the same page that, yeah, the team will not be as good this year without Terry McLaurin on the team. I think it's a guarantee, right? But I don't see a situation, honestly, in which Terry does not suit up and play. And I think if you're Adam Peters at this particular point in time, so the point would be, if you've already gone past the point of no return in the sense of where the relationship is going to go in the future, then why do I care to make it palatable right now? Right. So it's like, if it means he's going to, we're playing hardball, this is where we're at, then this is where we're at. So like, I would say that based on what I've seen from not so Adam Peters himself, but places he's been, being like San Francisco, they're good with the uncomfortable. Like they're
that's exactly why I'm going, I don't think it's happening.
Right. So like, so when I look at that, I'm like, yeah, they will hold his feet to the fire and say, look, you can hold out a knot. Like, this is going to be up to you. But I think that ends up being the big thing, right? And I think that, I think there's a part of us, even as fans, that think that Terry, when push comes to shove, would still choose to play over not playing. And look, at the end of the day, I don't know what he'd do. I don't know what his team is telling him to do. I don't know. But I mean, if I were betting, I still think he's going to suit up for us this year. I just think it's going to be one of those situations where it's like, and nobody's really happy about it. But once the games start flowing and we start winning, and if we're winning, then no one's going to care about this until come off season time, or it might be a hiccup if we have a hiccup in a game or two. But I think that they can keep going, and I don't think that there'll be a distraction for the team itself. I don't know necessarily as far as Terry himself. He doesn't strike me as anybody that would ever do anything to cause any friction in the locker room or what have you. But once again, if I'm looking at the timeline of what's happened, the only person I think that stepped outside of the realm of the only person I think that escalated things was Terry when he went personal when it came to the Eastern Motors thing. It's kind of akin to what's happened with the Cowboys and Parsons, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you see what's happening there, and like, I don't know about you, but if I'm looking at who got more disrespect, who should feel disrespected, I'm choosing Mike over Terry.
I agree with that.
But you see what Jerry Jones does down there, and it's like, I think everybody's on the same page. So Mike is going to get paid. This is just part of Jerry's process, right? He's got to be a little bitch for a second and just piss and moan.
He's got to win the headlines, the A blocks.
But you're gonna get the most money anybody's ever gotten. So like, that's gonna happen, right? So like, that ends up being the posturing bullshit that he does. So like, people have their things that they do when it comes to this process. You want more money, you got to use the leverage you have, and part of the negotiating package is trade requests. That's part of it. That's baked in. Like, that should have been something we even discussed. Like, when we were talking about trade partners, I think the conversation that probably should have happened was like, there's a good chance a trade request will happen, but the likelihood it will happen is pretty low, at least right now, right? And I think we're in that territory. We're still in that kind of give and take. It's just, we love this dude so fucking much. It's hurting. It's hurting.
I just, logically speaking, am not seeing Terry cave. I'm not seeing the team cave. And because of that, while I am and we're on the same page, he is going to suit up for us this season. I think the way to do it would be to just give him a raise this season to get him in sooner rather than later. He can at least have a smile on his face. The vibes are good for the time being, and then at the end of the season, let him explore. And that conversation can even be as simple as, hey, we'll give you a raise right now. If you do it again, we can have this conversation again. But right now, it's only been 1 year. Right. You can say that, and yes, you are competing with Debo. There it is. You are. And see how he handles it. I think that's how it's going to end up.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't even know about the raise, honestly, and it's not necessarily because I don't think it's like if I was Adam Peters, like right now, I could tell you Terry McLaurin would be in New England with a like $30 million contract. Okay, if it was me, but
Right.
I also don't think I should be the GM. So like that's
I agree.
me. Right? So like is like so I'm sort of like I'm trusting Adam because I do trust once again the mission statement, right? So like if whoever the leader is, if this is the mission statement, I'm a good soldier in the sense of this is the guy that I'm following above all of the guys, and that's what I've signed up for. You're bucking a little bit, and that's okay. It's a particular thing. I mean, you're not going to get dishonorably discharged from the team, so you can do that. It's a rough situation. Everybody wants them here, but I mean, it's the monetary thing and the business part of it. When you really treat it like a business, it ain't fun, man. Ain't no part of it is fun.
No, it's definitely not. It's obviously not fun. It's Commanders Twitter all the time now, right? We want to be able to talk about the New York Giants week 1. And we want to be able to then talk about Green Bay right after that and the Raiders right after that, right? We want to just focus on the season. This is such an integral piece of the organization over the past few years that you can't help but talk about this player, right? In Terry McLaurin. So, we will see what happens. My argument for giving him the raise is you're basically giving him money to gain time with him, right? And to be able to have Terry on one side, Debo the other, and see what that offense looks like for 2 to 3 weeks before we roll it out there. That's my incentive to, if I'm Adam Peters, and I'm also glad I'm not the GM, and everyone should be, to just give him the raise for the time being and be like, okay, get your ass in camp. We need to see what this looks like. Let's go all in for the season. You'll get your money at the end. It may be from us. It may be from somebody else, but can we just get this thing going? Like that's,
Once again, I do think that if it was a case where I knew things could get smoothed over by just giving them some money, like everybody can just go into the season just happy. But I don't think that's the thing for Terry. I don't think like an extra few dollars this year, as much as it might be a good thing. I think it feels like from Terry's standpoint, it's like, I might not just agree with his principle, but he's standing on business. He's standing on principle. And which is where you get that level of disrespect where when you want to do the comparison, him, Michael Parsons, some of these other guys, you're like, what? But it's to him. This is the line that's got crossed. So like, I don't know what you do in those rooms when it comes to a guy that's thinking that way is like, is it even a spit in his face to say something like that? Or is it, hey man, pain is suffering. Take some cash. So I don't know. I don't know what those rooms look like. I don't know what his agent is doing in those rooms. I'm hoping Terry's not in those fucking rooms. I'm really hoping.
I'd be surprised if he was. Although, but I know where you're at, where you're like, he's done dumb things. So like maybe that is just yet another.
Here's the thing. Dumb things in the sense of like his camp. I'm not going to call himself dumb. I just think that once again, the Eastern Motors move to me was an escalation. It's akin to a lesser version of Jerry Jones calling out Michael Parsons for no fucking reason in the media. It's like, what are you doing? So like, I get it. You're using you're trying to garner your leverage where you can. And I get it. And the other thing is like, from a Terry standpoint, motherfuckers, y'all pay me. I show up. I do that thing. And I've been doing it with the shit that you put around me. You might not have picked me, but I did it. So I'll show up when I need to show up. You can find me if you need to fucking find me. It is what it is. So like, I'm all for the players doing what it is they need to do. I just think that in this particular situation, once again, it's just a really weird situation with a lot of weird comparisons. And it's just a sticky wicket just for anybody involved. And you got some other teams that make really dumb decisions. And the way that things look around the league is like, whoever gets paid anywhere, we're always looking for the comparison because that's the market. That's that market. That did this.
That's true.
Right. And it's like the Deshaun Watson thing, I think, collusion or not, should have told everybody, like, hey, just because one guy got a deal does not mean that everybody.
And by the way, the market did correct
right?
over there.
So like, but what did it start with? It started with the Ravens getting trashed for months for not paying Lamar Jackson what everybody thought that they should have paid Lamar Jackson. And I'm sorry, as much as I love Terry, ain't as important as Lamar Jackson is to anything. Sure. So like, so what I'm saying is that nobody's that special that you can't have these sort of situations. It's just what it is. It just hurts because of how much heart we know that this guy gives. And Lord knows, I mean, NFL, films, Twitter, everybody, they've been doing a damn good job of showing Terry highlights all over my fucking algorithm.
He looks great.
No, he looks great. It's just like, then you start remembering like all last year, it's like, damn, he really fought for those touchdowns.
Did you see? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Did you see those Jaden top 5 plays that released? It was the Hail Mary and 4 throws to Terry.
Like, no, I swear I saw that video and I almost pulled up the WhatsApp to hit you and be like, dog, you're right, man. I'm looking like, there's only one other play in these fucking highlights, so we need him.
And it was off a tip from Tyreek Stevenson. So anyway, we will see what happens over here. To summarize, so Kain, I'm just writing this down. I think the only way this gets done is if that AAV, average annual value, hits 30 a year, or the guaranteed amount is beyond DKs. Okay, and that's a compromise from both sides. That's what that looks like. Otherwise, I do not see it getting done. And I would recommend, now I'm a consultant. I would recommend just giving him a raise to get him in camp as soon as possible. That's where I'm at. Where are you at? You do think it gets done ultimately at that 28-29?
Yeah, I mean,
I hope you're right. I would love for you to be right.
I think that's the compromise. I really do. I think that Terry's ask, as much as I know people want to do the comparison game with DK and everything, I don't like the DK contract. I just don't like the DK contract. So I'm not.
Neither is Adam.
Right. So I'm like, dog, I'm not comparing to that. We're not doing those fuckers decided they were going to do that shit. We're not doing that. I'm sorry. This, and I would tell Terry to his face, dude, I know. No, you just saw that dude. I know you're better than him. We can't do it, man. We're just not going to do it. So but I think 28-29 to me is the compromise because I do think that number, that bump up as far as when I'm looking at everything and who it is I'm comparing Terry to compared to who it is you're comparing Terry to, I think 28-29 with a good number of guarantees. I'm not necessarily saying it goes past what DK has, but a good number in the guarantees I think can get it done. I just think that I do think it ends up getting done with Terry being a little more unhappy than the team.
Okay. Fair enough. And so that is the Terry McLaurin discussion. And now let's go over to the guys that are playing. Again, football tonight. Washington Commanders at the New England Patriots. Commanders are going to be resting their starters because they did quite a bit in the joint practice and also had a really good year last year. So we sort of know what to expect from those guys. Right. The New England Patriots, it's their first year with Mike Vrabel, right? And so they want to play their starters for a little bit here, get them in a rhythm heading into the season. What do they have in Drake May? What do they have in Christian Barmore? What do they have in, well, it won't be Christian Gonzalez, but those starters are going to be rolled out early on, which represents an opportunity for our Washington Commanders to go against their ones early on. So exciting. We're finally going to see Burgundy of Gold out there. KDot, what are some names you're looking for here to hopefully show out as success for this game?
First and foremost, you sexy bastard, you got to start. You got my heart. Let's go. Show the world why. I'm excited for Sam. I know that the quarterback competition aspect between him and Josh is a thing. You got Sam hasn't played in fucking forever. He's coming off the shoulder injury, all sorts of weird shit. And then you got Josh, who I think I actually read what he played for more franchises, something like
he's played for 14. It's incredible. Someone said put him on the $20 bill. I was like, I agree.
Right. So there is an element of all right, I usually always root for the black quarterback, but we already got a black starter. So Sam, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. I just think that Sam has more upside. I've seen what Josh Johnson can do. I've seen a lot of what Josh Johnson can do. I want Sam to be the guy. And not to mention, I think that we know Mariota's a lock, but he's hurt. So it's whatever. Right. But the quarterback thing, who ends up being the third guy? And from just what I've seen, and you can look at through any of the practice photos or anything, there's an element of what Sam means to Jaden too. In a friendship or fun standpoint, that I can see Sam keeps Jaden loose, and I love that. I love that aspect of things. So I think that that's important, especially with a guy you're basically paying fucking peanuts. Outside of that, I mean, you're asking what other names I'm looking for. I guess on offense, I think the biggest two things, the receiving core as a whole, without Terry there, who steps up, who shows out, who's going to be consistent. I think that's just going to be interesting because there's so many guys and everybody kind of has picked their guy. Is it going to be Michael Gallup that kind of shows out and does something? Is it KJ Osborne, who was high on the list as far as from a special team standpoint? I'm rooting for Jalen Lane. Does Luke McCaffrey actually look like what Cliff and everybody's saying he's taking the step up? That's going to be a big thing. So wide receivers just like a motley crew of just what happens, right? Outside of that, I think tight end ends up probably being the position I'm looking at the most. Colson Yankoff apparently has been on Benson his fucking heels right now. Okay,
That's not a good thing.
No. Now, don't get me wrong. What I've heard about Yankoff is like, no, the dude looks like he might be something special, like they're tapping into. And at the tight end position, sometimes that happens. It's like you end up with a Taysom Hill type. You end up with a Antonio Gates. You never played college football, right?
Porter is getting some good reviews too.
Right. So what I'm trying to see, because I'm a Ben fan, is that not only do I need to see Ben like play well, I need him to gap motherfuckers. So like if he's not gapping people, Ben Sinnott time in Washington's starting to come to a fucking close, in all honesty. Because there's no reason that he shouldn't. I mean, you look at the play time that he had last year, you look at what I've heard about this year. I've heard some okay things. I haven't heard great things yet. He's got to show out. And from what I've seen in the joint practice, it looked like a lot of people right there on his heels, and that's not good if you're Ben Sinnott. And especially with Zach Ertz being like the one consistent thing on the offense outside of Jaden at this point. So yeah, step the fuck up, guys. Like one of you guys got to do it. I don't need Zach to be the guy the entire year. One of you guys got to really, really step up. So yeah, offensively, I think that's what I'm looking at. The offensive line with the rotations and who's going and who's not there. I don't think I'm going to learn a whole lot right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, you want to see some of the guys be dominant, but it's like, you just want to see good or quality play because, I mean, as maybe you got some depth. But until the offensive line's at full complement and, like, the starters are in, I'm never going to really know what's going on with that.
Yeah, so sticking to the offensive side of the ball, talking about Sam Hartman, who congrats to him getting the start on this. This is the QB3 battle between him and Josh Johnson, who is an NFL journeyman. You know me, KDot. I love team chemistry. I love the vibes. It's part of my argument with Terry McLaurin and getting him in sooner rather than later. So I absolutely agree with you there with what he means to Jaden. Those guys are tight.
Yeah.
Those guys are very, very tight. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you remember this, KDot. I believe Sam didn't make the team at first at the end of last preseason. Right. Yeah, and then he ends up, making the practice squad and still is with the team. And I think Mariota was hurt for a little bit. So he comes in. Anyway, so I think there's still ways to do that, but you do risk potentially losing him to another team. So I do recognize that, because I think when I look at Jaden to Marcus to Josh, they all represent a more similar style. And when I think about the way the Baltimore Ravens have operated in the past, it is that, like, if Lamar is hurt, well, they had Snoop Huntley, right? And they actually did have Josh Johnson. And so you felt like, of course, there's a drop-off, just to be clear. But at least in terms of style, in terms of playbook, you can keep it exactly the same, right? And so there is an element of that as well, which is why I'm so intrigued by this matchup. Like, how they play, this is super important for that QB3 spot. I'm so excited to see Bill. I am so excited to see Bill. We haven't really heard, we didn't hear his name much during the joint practice. John Keim did say he did bust one out to the left, but also there was a, bit of a bad exchange between him and Jaden Daniels on an option. So I'm so excited to see him just make a one cut and go. That's going to be great. And yeah, wide receivers, feel free. This is a golden opportunity, guys. This is a golden opportunity. Who is going to step up? And for me, what step up means is not necessarily make like an amazing play. I'm not looking for wow. Catch it. That's it. Like, no drops. Make sure you can get a little separation. I don't need yak right now. I just need no mistakes, right? Like, if we have people dropping, Adam Peters here. Yeah, Terry, I'm so sorry. Let's get this going now. If they're dropping it like crazy, that's a problem. And I'm looking at Luke in particular. I expect good things out of Jalen Lane immediately. He strikes me as a guy that just gets it. So points to you there, KDot, assuming he does go on to produce. You've been on him since day one. So wide receivers, I am a bit worried about Ben Sinnott. So this is the time to step up. Like you're saying, KDot, like, this was one of your favorites in the draft. It made sense when we saw him early on in the preseason. He had a nice catch actually in the NFC Championship game, but you're a second-round pick. It's your second year. Right now, what I'm hearing is Zach Ertz is getting better at yak. I should not be hearing that, right? Because that means that he is getting all the targets. He was doing it again in this joint practice. This is a get going, Ben. Like, that's what I'm looking for. And if another tight end steps up in the meanwhile, have at it. We just need the best 53 on the roster. But Ben, let's go.
ultimately that's the thing, right? It's
Yeah. But it should be Ben.
It should be Ben. But if it's Colson, be a Hall of Famer, son.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Let's fucking do it. Ben Sennett will be a great trivia question, or maybe a great player on another team one day. Yeah. Bill is what, 5th on the depth chart?
Yeah, I never pay attention to those preseason ones. You hide people sometimes. Yeah.
But I think that Bill ends up being a really interesting pick because if you're looking at the running back room outside of Robinson and Eckler, Rodriguez, we all like.
We got some truthers out there for him.
Yeah, it's been long enough. He's just Chris Rodriguez. Okay, he's which is not a bad thing. He can definitely come in and like at the end of the season when you start getting wear and tear on some guys. Rodriguez is a damn good bowling ball to like just wear down some guys. So he's got a purpose, but the purpose is not to be the guy in the backfield. And you got Donnie Felton and what's the other fucker? Well, I got the list here. What is it?
There we go. Kaz Allen, who was a favorite last season. They were doing everything they could for him to make that team last year.
Yeah, Bill. Here's your opportunity, son. You're supposed to be. I think you're the fastest guy in that backfield right now. Do what you need to do to kind of showcase the show out. Because I think that if you do, I think really, really early on, if anybody in that running back room starts showing that they got some daylight or anything, the opportunities are going to be coming knocking really, really quickly for you. So yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
One thing I have a question about KDot, and this pertains to the offensive line and the rotations, right? So it looks like starters are sitting. Now, Conerly is not technically a starter, right? As of right now, it's Andrew Wiley or Josh Conerly. I doubt they sit both. Maybe they do, but we might see Josh Conerly. That would be interesting. He's a rookie. I don't see why not.
I think there's a good chance we'll see both of them. I mean, why not? And you got to kind of see over the course of the game. So, I would totally see a situation where Wiley ends up being the guy that starts. You get him in there for a few things. If he's looking really good, he has backups or what have you, maybe he gets to start next week. I do think that could be something that they actually rotate between just to figure out who's who. Because at this particular point, if you roll in the season, all right, we think Wiley's just a little more sure than Conerly. That's fine. I don't think anybody's upset about it. But if you find out that Conerly's yeah, he could start now, he's showing that he's at least at Wiley's level or above, then that raises that ceiling quite a bit. And all right, cool. So that would be a gift. It would be amazing to hear that was the case. So and I'm all for it. And I do think it's a possibility, but you just want to hear, I think the word you said, which I wanted to back up and just put it for everybody, consistency. You don't want to play messy. That's something that I've always hated about preseason. And I always look at the teams that execute at a certain high level, the ones that seem like they got their just brain screwed in right. Those are the ones that I usually see the season starts and there's not that long run up to anything. So I want to see that. And I especially want to see that from the guys that aren't the starters. I want to see that from the guys there's nothing worse than week 2, week 3, you get fucking holding calls and everything with a motherfucker that ain't even starting. You can't stand that shit. So I want to see consistency from everybody and just mistake-free football.
And for what it's worth, jumping to the Bengals game for just a moment, I do expect to see a couple series from the starters. Yeah. Where it's Monday night, you don't have a joint practice leading up to it. Right. So that's your opportunity. The Bengals are going to play their ones. You get a chance to do ones for a couple series and then just get them out. But for this game, of course, it's going to be the twos. Let's flip over to the defensive side, KDot, where I'm super excited. Because the joint practice, I mean, yeah, they didn't do very well because it looked like these guys were carving them up. And it was weird. Some of the Patriots reporters were like, touchdown, 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 touchdown. And then they released Drake May's numbers, 14 for 21 and a pick. And I was like, what happened to all the touchdowns? Very confusing. But it did look like you were saying in the very beginning that we were getting carved up a little bit, and then maybe in the red zone got a bit better. Who are you looking out for over here, KDot?
Defensively, first and foremost, you're going to look at, you can go level by level. So, I'll start at the middle level because I think that's the most interesting is your boy, everybody's boy, Jordan McGee, not there, hurt again. Not there. So,
my boy's Dom Hampton, who's not been getting great reviews, just to be clear.
The team's boy is Jordan McGee.
My boy's Dom Hampton.
Right, you're right. And it does he'll probably get the start if I had to take a guess because it's just in training camp he's usually been the guy that's been the Mike guy, so that'll be the case. But from what I'm seeing with the Jordan McGee just being out regardless of the linebacker position, like we said about running wide receiver, here's some opportunity, fellas. It's I want to see Kain Medrano, everything I've heard about him. I've been really, really high on him. And they say that it's immediately you start recognizing even the joint practice, like, yeah, he's faster than everybody else. So like that's cool that it's showing out and he's seeing that. So like I need to see one of these guys just kind of like make a couple plays here and there. Like that would be cool for me to see. Like that's all I'm kind of looking at there. But yeah, just what the playing time kind of looks like. It'll get a good indication of like where it is they think about Dominic Hampton and everybody, because Wagner and Louver are locked in.
Right.
Defensive line is going to be interesting. I don't know who's playing or who's not playing as far as the defensive line going in this fucking game. But of course you want to see some of the guys that we know that they get some of the paydays, or at least some of the dudes are. I just want to see interior pressure in this game. I want to see the defensive line get somewhere. That's it. If I see that, you're gonna hear me praising what's happening with the defense. And the defensive backs is a thing in which, yeah, you want to see. I think at safety, you kind of want to see who it is that steps up. Is it going to be another one of these like preseason that Tyler Owens is just all over the fucking field as well? Like who steps up as far as the safety thing? Does somebody like show out to be a playmaker? I think the cornerbacks are pretty much locked in as far as what it is they're going to do. And as far as the cornerbacks go, I have no indication on what. I would not look at the preseason and indication of what the cornerbacks are going to do coming the season, just knowing what it is they do on defense and showing or not showing things as the course of the season goes.
There are a couple. I'll work actually backwards based on what you just said. So in the secondary, a couple names I'm looking out for. Carlin Vigors got a pretty nice review from John Keim. So as someone to look out for and someone that's apparently been having a nice camp. So curious to see how he does. And then Robert McDaniel has size, has length. Like I'm curious to see if he ends up having a Tyler Owens-esque preseason where he is trying to make the 53 at the very end. So those are the names that I'm most curious about aside from Tyler Owens. Does he continue to make plays in the preseason and continue to look faster than everybody else? He could not have had a better preseason last year. So does he continue that? Because if it's 2 years in a row and now he's a bit more, acquainted to a Joe Witt defense, okay, now we're talking, right? So those names I'm certainly looking out for. I agree with you on the corners. Trey Amos, Mikey Sanders still, Marshawn Lattimore, they're locked in. They're not playing. We could see Jonathan Jones a little bit. That'll be nice against his old team. I'm sure he would enjoy that as well. And those linebackers, KDot, I got to give it to you. Once again, Kain Medrano, that we drafted him. There's the Ken Norton Jr. connection. We've been hearing great things, and he did himself some good favors in the joint practice, right? So it's not necessarily something, not nothing either, right? Like that's what a joint practice is. Not nothing, not something, but it is somewhere in between. Let's see how he does when the lights are on. And I'm hoping, hey, Dominique, you were one of my guys. All right. So let's go ahead and step it up because I would love to be right about that. And then finally, Johnny Newton, I think should play.
I agree with that.
Yeah, because second round pick last year, if his other classmates are playing too, like Luke McCaffrey, Ben Sinnott, we got a lot of faith in Johnny, but he also didn't have a preseason last season because he was recovering. So give him one. Let him hit the ground running. That is someone I'm absolutely looking out for. And you mentioned interior pressure. I'm including the run game with that as well. We got beef, right? Like our biggest problem was we could not stop the run. If our backups are doing well against the Patriots ones and stopping that run, I'm starting to feel really good. That's a real big win akin to the tackles having a really nice joint practice. So that's what I'm looking for on defense, KDot.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. Yeah, fuck saying interior pressure specifically. Newton, I want to see you after the quarterback at least once or twice in this game if you do
Absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, I think they we look at certain things as just universal, and this is the reason I was so high on the Kain Medrano thing is that it's becoming extremely clear to me when looking at tape what playing like a commander looks like, at least for this coaching staff. And Medrano to me just screams that. Like it's one of those things where it's like, if you have the heart and you have the talent, we could teach skill. We can make up that skill. And that's what I see with this coaching staff. And I always love it. So when you see guys that are really try hard, it's really easy to root for them. And you also know the dudes that just have a tendency to be around the football. Like those guys that just have not only they have there's a natural instinct that kind of happens with them. And Medrano's like, it's the same reason Luvu jumps off the tape is that you just sort of see things when I'm like, how did he know? Like he's just seeing the game.
Those instincts. Yeah.
Right. And those are the things that make certain guys special. And sometimes you see that from a special angle with certain guys that maybe they don't have that talent. The talent, there's a deficiency, right? And that goes into the I don't know if we want to break down special teams, but the special teams piece, that goes to probably my number one guy, or the number one guy on the special teams, which is Nick Ballore. That's a dude that you can see clearly wants it. Clearly has a nose for the football, but talent says, we don't really want you on the defense playing middle linebacker or something, right, Nick? Like, it's, even though maybe he does get some playing time with what's going on with Jordan McGee, who knows? But you just sort of get an angle for stuff. But special teams wise, I do want to see what ends up happening as far as some of the return game. I'd love to see Lane back there just doing shit. Just want to see what it's like with the football in his hands. Like, that is very important to me.
Exciting.
Tress Way, just keep doing you. And Matt Gay, I don't want to say your name. Just let me not say your name.
Yeah.
And I'm happy.
Matter of fact, why don't you punt too? Give Tressway the day off. Like, you know what? Just do it all. Well, hey, 1 year, $4 million is fully guaranteed. Okay, after the kicking we had last year, we feel comfortable enough rolling that contract out. Yeah, Matt Gay, you're kicking and punting tomorrow. Like that, or today. That's what I'm doing. Like, God bless you. Make sure we don't say your name. Take care of your business. Sounds like you've had a good camp so far. But yeah, we need that kicking game going. Yeah. So, all right. Go ahead.
I did write down what would make me feel good. I was like,
I like that.
Quick bullet points
around football.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Outside of it, you don't want to know. It makes me feel good outside of football. You ain't ready for that conversation. Gallup, McCaffrey, Lane. Of that trio, one of those guys I want to see get like 2 or 3 first downs. I want to see them move the football down the field. I want to see that. As you said with Yak or whatever, I just want to see them. I want to see the ball being moved down the field and then moving the chains with some of these guys. I'd love at least one truly explosive play out of that group too. And I'm specifically counting these 3 guys because of what has happened when it comes to the skill set and what it is I think means going forward. Terry or not Terry, for what it is I think the team itself needs. What would make me feel good is Senate gapping Yankoff and Cole Turner.
Did you rehearse that?
What?
Go ahead.
Oh, hold on. See, when somebody says something like that, then it usually means that there was some sort of play on words. Did I do something?
No, just Senate gapping Yankoff just sounded interesting.
That's hilarious. I did not see
what you
that.
said. You rewatch this episode.
Yeah,
I'll write it down.
Yankoff.
47-12.
Gapping that Yankoff, man. Right in front of Cole Turner. You want to watch, son?
It makes you feel good.
Yeah. Ben, gap him, God damn it. And then defense, Newton, interior pressure, a hit on the quarterback made me really happy. And Medrano or Hampton, one of you two, this game, step up, show out. Let me see that. One of you two, just one of you two show out. I think over the course of the preseason, I see enough from both of you. I will say that. But I just want one of you to really show out in this game so I don't have to think about it anymore. And for Lane, just if you're on special teams, everything clean. Everything clean. I don't want to see any bumbled, nothing bungled. Like, I want to see everything cleanly caught and you are going down the field. When it comes to special teams, I have not been happy about this team in the return game period going back quite a few years. I know that we've shown some glimpses with certain guys here and there. I just want a dude that I know can be back there and is a fucking problem. And I'm hoping that Lane ends up being that guy.
The thing that's so important about Lane is that it protects, sort of a deep cut take here. It protects Austin Eckler because then oftentimes Austin was getting hurt on special teams. And he is so useful to our offense and gives us something different on offense that no other running back does. Right. So that is something where if Jalen is a good returner in general, you can throw him back there for kick returns as well. I mean, that suddenly really helps the team out in an underrated way to me. So completely.
I don't think it's underrated at all. I think it's extremely I think it's the thing. It's why I'm so high on Lane. It's just what he brings overall. And as you've heard me basically say, like throughout this offseason, in my opinion, the 2 most important cogs on the offense outside of, let's say, tackle and let's say quarterback are Austin Eckler and Deebo Samuel. I think for what it is they do within the confines of a Cliff Kingsbury offense and what he'll be able to do with both of them could create some really, really interesting wrinkles in this offense. And I really do think how we do as a team is going to be kind of predicated on how those 2 guys do.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And with that, any final thoughts there?
I wish Terry was here.
Me too. Me too. With that, we go over to the comment mailbag featuring an intro from our very own Nikki.
Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. District divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
All right. Thank you as always for that intro, Nikki. Beginning with, so we got 2 different comment mailbags. One, KDot, gotta say, I'm so glad we went live right after because the Fate Ships episode, no one really saw it because
We knew
everyone was
that.
talking about Terry.
We kind of knew.
We knew. We were like, we have to do this.
Yeah, we burnt our own episode, but it was important.
It was important, and made for a great live reaction in the moment where you were like, Terry requested trade. I was like, oh, shit. So we have that forever. We'll begin with Terry McLaurin requesting the trade, so the live stream and people who commented after. Beginning with Nebs Terrify, shout out. This motherfucker, KDot, is good. Actually got me hating on 17. KDot, your reaction.
That's not the takeaway.
I love that.
I love the first half. I reject the second half completely.
Subscribed.
Look,
Subscribed.
If I did that, I'm sorry. That's not my intention. I went back and I listened to the episode because I didn't want to hear us arguing.
Which was entertaining.
I'm a dick. I'm such a dick. But there's a moment in that episode where you can just see you're over it. You're just fucking over me.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's just like, dude, we've been doing this forever. Like, you just shut the fuck up. Let's just go.
Oh, that's what I was like. All right, so if you could summarize all that, you even called.
And I called you up passive aggressively. You were like, "I'm not joking with you. Shut the fuck up."
I'm like, just say it. We're 2 hours into this. We just did an hour.
That shit was hilarious. Like, you know that. So that was great. But there are moments when I was listening to the episode, I'm like, it sounds like I'm a Terry hater, and I don't want to be a Terry. I love Terry McLaurin. I fucking adore Terry McLaurin. And I want him to be here so fucking badly. And like I said, if I was GM, I'd fucking do it. I just don't know. I think for me, it's like we've been such a rudderless ship for so fucking long that when we finally got the rudder, I'm not willing to bail on it for anything at this point. Like, I just want to know that we're going in one direction and like we have somebody that we're following to do that. And after season 1, I'm sorry, I'm on his side and anything. So like, I just want to get there. So like at the end of the day, I'm trusting him. But like, if it goes wrong, if it doesn't go right long term, guess who I'm blaming? Like, at least I got it solidified. This one guy at the top that's gonna get all of his fucking smoke or praise, one way or the other.
No, it's 100% true. And here is DJ up to demons and twos. That's how I just started saying it. I still as many times as I read, I just can't get it right. A couple comments here, both directed to me, so I'll answer these. DJ goes, Amit, no tag. They are releasing him. That's one. We're not doing that. That's the quick reply there. 2, Amit, let it go. What you would do has been overstated, and what you would do isn't getting done. He is requesting a trade. So your couch GM sucks because you didn't see this coming. I did. All right. So what I will say to that, DJ.
I usually get the hate. Fuck, dude.
So I'm assuming this will be in reference to me saying I would give Terry 3 years 100. And to reiterate, the reason why I would is because I believe Terry's tread on the tires argument, whether he meant to or not, after digging into the data, you produce for years after that. So I feel comfortable with what he can produce now that he has quarterback play. That's why I'm fine with it. That got pushback from not just KDot, but others because, well, that's against the DK Metcalf deal. So if it's already an overvalued market, you were willing to overpay as well. And my pushback there was, I don't view it as an overpay, but that's what's going on. So DJ, you then have this, which is KDot. Here you go. KDot ain't no wiggle. It's firm at 28 and that for 1. That for 1, I'm not fully sure I understand. Is it like a 1-year, 28 million deal? Because he would easily say no to that. So that part I couldn't quite get.
The 28, once again, I still think we're in that. I think it's just south of 30 ends up being that thing. And like, if I can understand Terry's viewpoint when it comes to the DK thing. Once again, the thing with these markets when it comes to football is it's not true capitalism. It's not a true free market or open market. You have a very consolidated group of teams that have certain bylaws and rules that they have to follow, and they pay within that threshold, knowing that you have a cap to how much you can do. And some of these teams are willing to pay more than others. I don't think we're one of the cheap owners, actually, but that's what it comes down to. And it's like, it's just hard for any of that to be the case, but I can understand why Terry feels the way he does. I don't fault Terry for feeling anything that he feels. I just don't necessarily know if I'd operate in the same mode that he would. With the wiggle room piece is that, like, I want to make sure that it would be a problem for me if Adam Peters is immovable on this particular topic. Like this, it's not. I'm sorry.
You said it's a problem if he is immovable?
If he isn't, or no, hell, what's immovable? Immovable, not moving. Is that a word?
Not able. He's
not able to move. He
correct.
should be able to move.
Okay.
Like he needs wiggle room. I am all for, like, I think I said this like when we did like one of the episodes was like how we would build a team. Almost, I like a game plan. I like a mission, but I also need to know that you can work on the fly, because what it is you predicted to have happen is not going to happen.
I see.
Like, I need you to be able to have some sort of flex on that. And this is why I go down to, like, I want a deal that makes everybody a little unhappy. I think that's what makes everybody happy at the end of the day. And that's where, so I'm like, yeah, Adam, you got to move. So like, I don't want to know that he's not like, hey, I'm stuck here. I'm not fucking moving from here. Because in my opinion, anything south of that 30 number should be something that's worth talking about, honestly. It should legitimately be something worth talking about.
And to reiterate where both sides are based on reports, right, is that they are using different comps than one another. So they are it's different storytelling on both sides, right? Where Terry goes, DK Metcalf in my draft class, and I've been out producing him. So I want more than his number, for example. And then on the other side, go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh, just that, the team will be like, okay, well, you're about to be 30. Mike Evans got 2 years 41 or 2 years 52, whatever it was. Devontae Adams, a little bit older than you, got 2 years 20 something, 44. And Cortland Sutton, look, the deal just dropped. 4 years 92. That's why they're worlds apart. And that's also why I don't think they're budging. and they're not talking. And so, like, the Micah thing is really bad, but we know Jerry's eventually, once he gets all his headlines, and it's his time to shine. And, it could be the day before week 1. Same thing with Dak Prescott a couple years ago. Possible.
I'm really hoping Mike is being serious about this stuff.
I think he is, but he's, let's be real, he'll be a Dallas Cowboy. And the other is with Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, the Bengals are hilarious in terms of how they handle things, and it takes forever. But they are at least talking right now. As far as we know, these guys aren't talking, so someone's going to have to start talking to the other. And Terry's played all his cards, so we'll go ahead and see. Someone's going to have to swallow some pride. Yes.
I know we don't love the Terry just has so much stuff.
It does.
The more and more I look at it, the more and more I think about it, and the more and more I think about Terry. And I keep thinking about T. Higgins is the name that keeps jumping in my mind, right?
4 years, 115.
I do think the more it is that I'm looking at this team, and the more it is that I'm considering the fact that Adam Peters and where it is they came in compared to where it is that Terry's in, I think that they honestly look at Terry and where he is right now is probably the league's best or second best second receiver. I think that they honestly do think that they can upgrade. Like, I do think that that's the case, and I do think that that's why they have the cap in there. I think that, like, that. Remember, what I found funny when you said that was that, like, literally the first time we had this conversation about the contract, I said, there are no good comps. That was the first fucking thing I said. Like, there are no good comps. So it's hilarious to know that everybody's using whatever comp suits them to fucking work for this thing. But the way I'm looking at it and the way that I'm looking at the numbers and everything, I look at that Cincinnati thing, right? And I'm like, okay, if I'm Cincinnati and I'm paying T. Higgins that amount, I'm paying Jamar Chase that amount, I'd never do that. I wouldn't do that if I was a GM, right? So if I'm looking at Adam Peters, it's like, we love Terry, but we think Terry's closer to T than he is to Jamar. And there's got to be some room. So, like, I think that if they think along those lines, where it's not like what he means to us as a team compared to what is his value, I think that there is something there. And I do think that, like, it is a thing that I think some people think. And I still go back to, like, the physical compared to him just pulling off and making plays happen. You watch those highlights that have been going around Twitter and all kinds of things. The thing that steps out to you is that it looks kind of weird that he's doing all the shit he's doing, because he shouldn't be able to, but he's doing it and he gets it done. So, like, there is an angle of that Terry's like, motherfucker, Do you see what I do? I do it anyway. Yeah, I'm not as fast as Jamar Chase. No, I can't jump as tall as this dude, but I still produce. Give me what I do because I produce. And I think there is an element of like people that look at Terry and they're like, and you've heard it from even people in the fan base, like, oh, he's the best number 2 receiver. And it's like, we think after last year, I think the thought process for most people was like, well, he put that to bed. He put that to fucking bed. And I think that there might be a prevailing theory within that team that he got the number 1 status because there's a JD5 back there. And I think
so imagine who else we could put there and do something with.
So the thought would be, if you, once again, not trying, I hate the comparison game, but for argument's sake,
sure,
what does Jamar Chase look like with Jaden Daniels on the football?
Yeah, I mean, it probably looks amazing. But Jabbar on his own looks amazing.
True that, but I'm saying like the Jaden Daniels piece of it, right? Like you saw the thing that was the most concerning, I think, for Washington when it came to wide receivers last year was the lack of consistency even through health through the wide receivers as far as like who it is that was going to step up, right? But there were moments where it's like Zacchaeus looked like a dude for a moment. De'Ami Brown looked like a dude for a moment. Like there were moments where you had these guys who like De'Ami Brown got paid because of what Jaden Daniels was able to deliver to him to some degree.
Yeah.
No taking away, you still had to do the work necessary, but I do think there's a realm in which they say Jaden's that fucking good. Yes. And Terry's here. And if we get ourselves in a situation where we can get one of those guys to put with him, we'll do that. But Terry, we got you here, buddy, because we like that's the most we'll do. And I think, like, to me, that's at least a narrative that, while I think maybe most people would not necessarily agree with, I think it makes sense.
Yeah. So then that would also land you in that 28, 29 if you're doing T. Now, T's younger. So then you get into that also, right? Where you go, okay, he might be the best number 2 wide receiver, which I don't subscribe to. But, like, you know, to continue on with this example, then you do play the age game with the T. Higgins. And so that comes down. I was looking at other future wide receiver contracts coming. And right now, at least for next year, the only obvious one to me is Drake London. Yeah. There's another one of Michael Pittman Jr. It's been hard to evaluate him. We talk about quarterback play.
Those are two weird contracts. Those two weird negotiations.
Drake's, I think, will be just fine once Penix has a year with him.
That's fair.
But but the Michael Pittman one's going to be interesting. So anyway, I think you know what I think.
I know.
And so we go over to Coach Lombard because this is also an interesting point. The salary cap doesn't really exist. Void years, options, contracts, and signing bonuses are a thing. Of course, Washington does very little of that. So actually looking at Terry McLaurin's current contract, they did include some void years to extend out the bonus that they initially gave him. So, KDot, your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, number one is, Coach, you got to really stop doing any sort of comparison game between what you guys have in Philadelphia that's been running as a system, like, for as long as you have to Adam Peters in his fucking second year here. Like, what are we doing? Like, are we making big prognostication on what it is the team does when we're signing a bunch of fucking veterans for 1 year? Is there really one way to not acknowledge like what it is we're doing at this particular point? I don't know. All I saw was that I'm looking at an organization that basically said anybody that was part of the last administration can go. Which is what we kind of thought after we were gone. And we had a few names on that list. And I think the names that we had on the list with Terry, I think John Allen kind of made the list for us.
He did. Yep.
He's gone.
And Pain.
And I think
and Cosby. Those were the 4. Pretty Tressway. That's obvious.
Oh, Tressway is just
this is obvious. It went with it.
He'll be our punter until he's 75.
Yeah.
He might outlive me.
You may get the Terry money. Go ahead.
You know what? That's something I might actually. I just look. I get what you're saying, but salary caps do exist. They do exist, and there's a reason why some teams do it better than other teams because they know how to do it, and they get guys in there that understand the contract language and can do and come up with some interesting ways in which to do it. You have one of those guys in Philadelphia. I just don't think Peters has been around here long enough for us to really see that part of the flex yet. We're not in that part of the build.
So that's where I find myself stuck in the middle between you and Coach. So because I see that we have made so many strides, good strides everywhere, right? And we do pride ourselves on being really, really good. After 1 year of that little report card saying that our locker room's an F, we've seen the new locker room.
Yep.
I mean, immediately that happens. When Adam Peters showed up, he's like, "Are we practicing on turf? No longer practicing on turf. We got R&D. We got an analytics team." So when we are winning off the field, to quote Bruce Allen, Jesus, this is something I expect us to do as well, and more of, even if it's early. You're assessing what your window looks like, and this is probably already happening, to be clear. You're assessing what your window looks like, and you are going, okay, who are the best? They're in our division. How do we also do it? It may be a bit too soon. That's why I find myself in the middle.
That's all I'm saying. I think that everything you're saying is going to happen. It's absolutely. But if you look at like the people that we signed or who's been available, who it is you want to even tie yourself to at this particular point, there's not a lot of room for that right now. There just isn't, unless you were talking about Terry.
Well, so I think that level of thinking can be used here, just to be clear. But what I would also say, and this lends itself to your point, which is that we're still figuring out who the pieces are, because everything we do is a 2-year deal or 1-year deal, right? You know, well, but when we're sure, it's 3. Dorrance Armstrong, Frankie Louvu, now Javon Kinlaw. 2 out of those 3 have been good so far, and the third one has yet to even have the opportunity to prove that he's correct. Right? So when they know that's your 3-year, they communicate that to the fan base immediately. We like this guy. Outside of that, you hang out for a year or 2, and then go fuck off, go somewhere else. It's just sort of what it is. So we'll see.
And I think you're also aware of the fact that they did, because if you look at our salary cap situation, it's fucking stellar. Like if you look at like what other teams might have done was like overpay a bunch of guys to try to go make a run unnecessarily, whereas we're still being very calculated in what it is we do, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, we go to Coach Lombard one more time, and then we got one more from Be Well, and then we switch to the other video, which again, not many people saw it, so not too many comments there. Coach Lombard goes, Jalen improved as a quarterback after Jason Kelce retired. I see that possibility being true for Jaden and Terry. This actually opens up to a conversation that KDot and I had just via text, literally, I want to say yesterday or the day before, where I agree, just to be clear, that Jaden could, because KDot had mentioned this last episode, Jaden kicking Ja'Cory Brooks out of the huddle because that's not what we do, right? He's showing the confidence that he's always had, right? He's expressing himself more. He can enable more people, more on his plate immediately. His development could actually be excellent without Terry McLaurin, right? It could.
Right.
And where I'm at is, while all that's true, I think we're running an unnecessary risk by going through all this right now, because all that matters to me is Jaden has another awesome second year.
Yeah.
Right. So I do see the possibility being true. I'd rather not find out. Go ahead, KDot.
Yeah. Once again, do I think the team is better with Terry McLaurin on it this year? Fuck this year. Is the team better with Terry McLaurin on the team? Yes, he's that talented, of course. And do you like the idea of your first year quarterback coming in here and having his number one receiver like last more than the fucking season? Yeah, that makes sense. Like, do you want that continuity for the guy that, like, we've already seen even in the joint practice, who did he lean on more than anybody else in the joint practice? Zach Ertz. And I can promise you, if Terry McLaurin was there, he would have leaned on him too, right? So we want that, of course. It's good. It makes all the sense in the world as far as from a progression standpoint. That being said, after what happened last year, you never want to take it for granted. You shouldn't take it for granted. But Jaden showed me something different than most other quarterbacks show me after their rookie season.
Special, man.
Right. So, like, there's an angle of, if I saw from a development, like, if I'm looking at Drake May, yeah, you need a fucking receiver, Drake. And I get it. Like, after what it is you had to do, so you want, like, I understand that. Or if you have some dudes that, like, you're not entirely sure, they're making the strides, they're making some progress, but they're not quite there, you need to give them some fucking help. I see my thing is, like, there are some players that they need less in order for them to do more. So, like, in a sense of, like, Tom Brady, trust me, he did the most with Randy Moss, right? But in those angles where, like, what people remember about Tom is, like, those fourth quarters, those games on the line, shit's close. When they were 2007, they were just blowing motherfuckers out, right? But, like, where Tom is his most special is, I need to make this fucking play, and I need to do this thing. Patrick Mahomes, like, Is there anybody in the world that doesn't think Patrick Mahomes is more deadly with Tyreek Hill to throw to? Of course, right?
Right.
But when he lost Tyreek, what did you start hearing from Patrick? Oh, I'm finally starting to learn how to read defenses.
Because he had to. There you go.
Right,
No, that's the point
right.
in your favor. Absolutely.
So it's like you take the step. Like you got to kind of, there's sometimes where I'm not going to call them training wheels, because not training wheels, but there are like some sink or swim moments for the special guys, And I think that there's a part of me that thinks that like Jaden, I've seen what he did with some of the wide receiving core that was not Terry McLaurin last year. And in my opinion, yeah, there was a huge talent deficiency that we really want to increase. But the way I saw him elevate those guys' game made me it readjusts what it is I'm thinking. I would be with you. I'd be 100% with you if we were talking about Dwayne Haskins, if we were talking about Jason Campbell, if we were talking about Patrick Ramsey.
Right.
Why would you fuck that up? But like, dog, after year one, like, he's in top 5.
Hey.
What are we doing? Like,
the last person you need to tell is me when it comes to how special Jaden Daniels is.
But I think that, but I do think that is I fully understand your thought process. I get it completely. It makes sense. If I think that this situation with Terry could in any way, shape, or form hamper things that Adam has in his mind that he wants for the team down the road, I'm okay with having Jaden have that sink or swim moment, because I think he's uniquely capable of handling it. And I would not say that for most quarterbacks. I just think we're dealing with a different thing here.
As I heard you speak about that, some thoughts came up for me. One, in terms of the examples, Brady, those fourth quarter moments, incredible. A lot of those went to the most dominant tight end in the game, and Rob Gronkowski.
My bad. I was like, Jaden.
Oh, no. A lot of those went to Gronk. You got to have it. 100%. It's Gronk. You got to have it. It's Julian Edelman. You got to have it. It's James White. He had his people. That it was like, that's who it's going to. Mahomes. It's these people cannot catch. We do have the number one defense, so they'll take care of what they need to do. It's Travis Kelce. Yep. It is Travis Kelce over and over and over, and I will eventually need a play from somebody. Yep. But we see Mahomes. What's happened to the high-flying Kansas City Chiefs, right? Like there's also some of that, and now people are opening up best quarterback. I don't think it's open, but like people are opening up best quarterback. And so that's just a little pushback I would do on that. And the other thing I would say is, we saw Olamide Zaccheaus, De'Ami Brown. These guys got paid, right? Because Jaden Daniels that good. Exactly. And Terry McLaurin was on the field for every single one of those. And so just the attention he takes, and it's something you cited, KDot, the attention he takes from a defensive game planning perspective, and take away Terry McLaurin, make somebody else beat us.
Right.
Okay, they did. Good. That's good. If you take Terry off the field, if I'm a defensive coordinator, how worried am I? There's going to be some creativity with Cliff Kingsbury, but it's a heck of a lot easier to not have to worry about Terry McLaurin. Maybe we can strap up. Maybe we can go man to man a little bit harder now. I don't need to worry about this. I can send more pressure because I feel like these guys aren't going to separate, right? But if I do that against Terry and he's good at contested catches and we just chuck it, a la Cincinnati,
we're going to chuck it man to man, bumping up. What?
Sorry, I was saying a lot of stuff.
We got to strap up.
My point has been
strap up man to man.
My point. You want to talk about what makes me feel good, KDot? No. So that's my point.
So that Tom Brady example is a good example in the sense of what you meant by Gronk. And what I would point everybody to is that a lot of people forget in Tom Brady's career, there was a gap. there was a gap. Like 10 years, no Super Bowl wins. Like they were always in the dance, but there was a gap. And there was a transition period post Randy to when Gronk really steps up, because Gronk comes in the league 2010, 2011 or something.
I can check while you're chatting.
They don't win their next Super Bowl until like 2014.
Yep.
But to me, it's like those years with Brady in that period were if he doesn't have those lean years right there in the middle to me,
2010.
Those 3 Super Bowls that he ends up getting afterwards to add to his fucking stats. That comes with Tom Brady having to learn how to be a different kind of quarterback and what it is he needs to be for the team. Once again, they then had to find a Gronk and Aaron Hernandez even at one point to make shit happen. But it's like, so it is a case. But I do think that like there is always an element of some of these guys you need to kind of see what they're made of. Now, that's not to say you can't not give them wide receiver help, because I mean, I know me and you used to getting about Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay and like what it is that Green Bay did that you thought that either helped them or didn't help them as far as wide receiver room went. And that was a big point of contention for Aaron, was like, dude, I'm over here fucking doing everything. Y'all are not helping me at all with
It's
this.
just Devontae.
Right. There's an extreme that I would never want to be on, right? But once again, everything that I'm saying is tied to if Adam Peters thinks that it might hamper what it is he wants to do long term, then I'm in a mode where I can see the silver lining, is basically what I'm saying.
So that lends itself quite nicely to the final comment here for this episode, which is from Bewell 4467. Shout out. Amit, I listened carefully to your argument that starts at the 1 hour, 31 minute, and 49 second mark. And first off, greatly appreciate you listening to the live stream as long as you did. And I understand your position. It was well presented. However, I agree with KDot on this one, which honestly I rarely do. That's in parentheses. Moreover, I think that KDot is also saying that no matter what his position is, AP's position is pretty much set, which I also believe. And so, I mean, it's just sort of lending itself to what you're talking about as well. And Adam Peters, his role is to make sure that the long-term outlook for the team is grass is green here, not greener there. It is here. Right. And so I get, by the way, where he's coming from in terms of holding the line, seeing if Terry will budge some. It only helps him out, and he's willing to go through that discomfort. He's got that familiarity, and he's already jettisoned many former commanders that were not his. So he's like, what's one more? And I just led us to the NFC Championship game with my roster construction. See, I got rid of everybody, and look at where we are now. Right. So I get it from his perspective. I would also, and so this is where I sort of disagree with him. And I've said that, on multiple episodes now. I disagree with how he's handling this one, which is that the long-term outlook of the team is very dependent on this year for Jaden Daniels. So, and Terry needs to be there for that. Okay. So that's it. So as long as I trust Terry will be a professional, by the way, even if he doesn't get the raise, I fully trust he'll be a professional. If he holds out, wow. And also, I mean, good for him. He's really convicted, huh? But I fully expect that he would be a professional. I just need one more season with Terry McLaurin. That's where I'm at. Go ahead.
Yeah. And look, I usually try to stay away from the language like stay a professional, this, that, and the other, because I do know it's one-sided. Like these teams can cut these motherfuckers whenever, and there's a bunch of money that they agree to that they don't necessarily get. So use whatever you need to use. And I can separate what it is I feel about the football team from a fan perspective to what it is I feel you should do from a business perspective, because they're usually not mutually, they are pretty mutually exclusive. So we could do that. We just operate in that realm. I respect what he's got to do to try to earn a living. And it might run counter to what it is that I want to see as a fan, but I respect that dude as a man enough to be like, go do what you need to do. And I'm in your corner with that. I'm in Terry's corner with him getting paid what he thinks he deserves to get paid. I'm also in Adam Peters' corner. And as a fan, I care more about a Super Bowl than any other thing. And I've been searching for decades now for anyone to show me that they had some sort of fucking goddamn sense. The one person I thought that did was what Scott McLaurin, and they fucked him instantly.
That's
so
yeah.
Right. So it's like the moment that I have something like this, where it's like something I've been clawing at, and the one thing that me and you have been looking at, we need a leader, we need a guy, we need a mission, we need this, we need that. I got him. And we were in an NFC Championship game. And here's the thing. I've still heard people talk about the fact that they're not on Adam Peters' side when it came to Montez leaving or Chase even leaving. Because if you look at last year, what was the glaring position that we kind of need? Pass rusher. So, at the end of the day, some people are like, well, motherfucker, you got rid of those guys. And, I get the draft picks and shit, but we could have used those guys. So, once again, for GM, I'm looking at how successful are we long-term, and you got any Super Bowls. If you ain't got that, you fucking fail. Get the fuck out. And if we're in the dance constantly, then you've got, let's go. I'm not questioning the leadership. Let's fucking go. Let's go.
Yeah. And I think you got to give an assist to Bob Myers on that one with Chase Young and Montez Sweat. That was so NBA. It was crazy, right? We're tanking. Right. And there's no lottery. If you finish with the worst record, you just get pick one. So trade them. And we got nice draft capital out of it.
We did.
And it was objectively the right call. I've agreed, by the way, with Adam on just about everything. And it is still in Adam we trust. I happen to disagree. But if, let's say we traded Terry, it's still in Adam we trust. I would just disagree with it, but I would trust him.
Right.
And then if it blew up in his face, well, I got video saying I told you so. And so
there's a part of me that like is the so when I was in high school, I was in like ROTC and everything. I took the military like really seriously, and I was always told I'm a great second, not a great leader myself, but I'm a great second. I can believe I can get people to buy into the cause, right? And with that, it's just one of those things where I think the reason I'm taking the angle I'm taking here on this, I don't want to be in position to tell Adam Peters I told you so.
So for me, it's just making sure that I don't want to be in that.
No. I think you are legitimately saying what it is you feel about this situation, and I think it is a hard thing to do when you do appreciate what Adam Peters is doing. But you also think diehard within your soul, this is just the wrong decision.
I think so, just because I think there's so many good years left of Terry McLaurin, and it's important that this year the vibes are good now, right? Yeah. And we can gel as an offense ahead of week 1. I don't need any little like slow start. It's a hard schedule this year.
It is.
It's a hard schedule this year. So I want to be able to hit the ground running. And just to finalize that point, there could be a difference between you can agree or disagree with somebody, but you can still trust them. Yeah. Right. And so I just want to be very clear that right now I disagree with the handling of it, but I do trust him. And so that's where we're at there. Switching over to the other video, Washington Commanders 2025 season positional fate chips, where we give out 100 chips to, I believe, 9 different groups, 5 on offense, 3 on defense, and special teams. And based on the number of chips you give them is how much faith you got in that group. So beginning with Coach Lombard. Here are my faith chips. QB, 40. Running back, 5. Wide receiver, 5. Tight end, 5. O-line, 15. D-line, 5. Linebacker, 15. DB, 5. Special teams, 5. Before I continue reading this comment, I want to notice how cool it is that he said 40, and you were like, kind of makes sense. And I was also like, maybe I should have given more. Here's the rest of it. Curious how many chips you would give AP, DQ, Cliff, and Witt if you also gave chips to coaches and front office personnel. That's a good question.
So what are the
it
Quinn,
would be
Cliff.
It's
Joe.
GM, head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator.
So 4.
Yeah,
100 points.
100 points. How'd you do it?
GM or team president. So my guy Adam, I'm giving Adam as far as fate chips so far. He gets a 40. He gets a 40 burger from me. Okay. Dan Quinn gets 25 because you know I'm high on Dan Quinn. Yeah. So we're at 65. You can literally split the second 2 in half. Yeah, between Witt and Cliff. I'm like, I know people like I like those guys. I do. And I do like a lot of what Cliff is doing, but I like what Cliff is doing. I like what Joe is doing. I like what they're doing in the building. I am of the idea that Dan Quinn is more important than Joe Witt on defense. Sorry, just calling what it is. And on offense, Jaden's what makes that go.
Okay. No, that's fair. I appreciate the explanation on that. I would go AP 35 because he also brought in Dan Quinn. Yeah. Right. So therefore, and he has once again done a spectacular job. And I continue to believe in him. So 35 for Adam Peters. I would go 30 for Dan Quinn. So it's just south of that. But man, the way he can galvanize a locker room, that report card comes out. Coaching got an A+. Head coaching specifically. So 35-30. That gives me 35 chips, right? 65, 35 chips left. I would go 20 to Cliff, 15 to Joe.
I like that.
That's what I would do. So that's how I would do that.
Actually, you know what? I'd agree with yours. I think yours is probably better suited. I think Cliff is more important than Joe overall. And Cliff did a damn good job last year overall. But once again, I still think that while I do love Cliff Kingsbury's offense, and I especially love what it looks like with Austin Eckler, if they had hired Remember, I wanted Chip Kelly too. And if they had hired Chip Kelly with Dan Quinn, I'm still feeling pretty good as long as we got JD5 back there. And that's all I'm saying.
That is fair. JD5 fits a lot of offenses.
Yeah.
Coach Lombard also goes, as much as you might hate this, are AJ Brown and or Devontae Smith elite? I mean, I want to make sure, is this? Yeah, go ahead. That's it. That's the comment.
I think AJ Brown has crossed over to elite. I just think that right now with what it is they're doing in Philadelphia, he doesn't quite necessarily need to showcase it as much as he might have somewhere else.
Yeah. AJ Brown, absolutely elite. Devontae Smith, very, very good. And by the way, AJ Brown, his numbers are reduced because they don't throw that often.
Exactly.
Oh my Lord. If you threw him on an offense where they're throwing a lot, I think you acknowledge him as top 3. Like it's scary, man. AJ Brown to me, it might actually be, honestly, for me, KDot, like Jefferson, Jamar, AJ. The more I think about it, because I think I'm doing the sort of like, what if he played in Dallas instead of CD? And I love CD. I think CD's an excellent player.
There's one team I always think about with AJ Brown. There's one team I think about AJ Brown that I think he'd be absolutely magnificent on.
Go ahead. Which one?
Buffalo. I think if you had Josh Allen throwing at AJ Brown, it would be a nightmare.
It just gives you such a window as a quarterback, which Terry does too. Just with his like work ethic, like he doesn't have the physical tools of AJ.
It doesn't make sense,
right? But like he finds a way, man. He finds a way. If you guys haven't seen the clip of him explaining the work he did at Ohio State, because he moved up that depth chart and he like made it intentionally difficult.
Heart.
That's the work ethic that also makes me think he's going to last a while because he just built that way.
But here's the thing. There's a part of me that thinks the fact that he knows that this team is betting against him means if he goes anywhere else, he might put together a Hall of Fame career.
He's going to be unbelievable, KDot. Like, he is so good.
I think the chip might do something else, though. I think he might hit another gear.
He's going to be so good.
I think he might hit another gear. I'm not denying it. I do think that there is a chance, Terry. But then it goes to, okay, if I want the best for Terry, I also want the best for my team.
Yeah.
Maybe it is that, like, hey, let's run this back a year, 2 tops, and then go do your thing, man.
Yeah, I think that's where it's going towards. That is my true prediction. You know, like, I think it happens. Also possible that, like, you know, looking at Mahomes, Tyreek, different situation. They'd already won a Super Bowl. But Tyreek got his numbers, and he got bonkers numbers in Miami. Kansas City wins the Super Bowl. I'm in no way comparing these two situations, just to be clear, right? Like,
I mean,
I wouldn't compare them. But
I'm just saying, if apparently everybody was wrong, if Caleb Williams is not the next Patrick Mahomes, then there's only one other guy.
And if you've been listening to District Divided, you know that one of us has been saying that for
JJ
some time. Coach Lombard with another one. What you are saying without saying is positional value. Some positions are more important than other positions. Here are my rankings. Number 1, quarterback. I think we would agree with that. Number 2, offensive line. Number 3, defensive line. Number 4, wide receiver. Number 5, DB. Number 6, tight end. Number 7, running back. And number 8, linebacker. KDot, do you agree or disagree?
I moved defensive backs up 1, and I swap wide receivers and tight ends. I'm a believer that in the way the NFL works right now, give me a tight end. If you give me a legitimately special tight end, I'm feeling really good about where I'm at.
All the more reason to watch Ben Sinnott tonight. No, but it makes total sense, KDot, because if we look at historically, if you have a tight end that is a matchup nightmare, right? Like a Rob Gronkowski, like a Travis Kelce, think about the Super Bowls they all have together. By the way, Gronk got one in Tampa as well, right? So like, you think about all those Super Bowls when you got a guy that can control the middle of the football field and just makes a huge target for your quarterback. Oh my God, life gets easy. So I agree with you there. DBs over wide receivers, I don't know that I would do just yet. So I think there I'm slightly, I would go tight end 4, and then I would go wide receiver 5, DB 6. But I am beginning to think the way you are, the more it marinates in my head.
I just think defense is more important than offense in certain ways, as far as like just from a championship perspective. And like to me, and from a defensive back standpoint, like it's so important to me to be able to. I need guys that could just cause delays. Like if you can't do that for me, I'm getting eaten the fuck up. There, as we've seen, because we've seen it, there is nothing more demoralizing maybe to a football team getting ran down, like that's why the defensive line matters. But
right,
first down after first down, and your fucking cornerbacks are just giving up. Like boy, like that shit gets rough real quick.
Yeah. And then we go to Sauce Ricky 88. Shout out. They waited too long to pay Terry. That's why we're going to this. The two other teams that waited too long to pay their players were the Cincinnati Bengals and the Dallas Cowboys. Why would we want to have any similarities to those two teams? KDot, your reaction.
Yeah, I think you're leaving out a lot of other teams that wait to pay people, but okay. Let's cherry pick a few. Like, and even in that situation itself, like, I don't understand. Like, I can maybe understand from Terry's standpoint that he wanted to have the conversation sooner, but that was not that long ago that he signed that extension. Like, we are not in a situation where it's like egregious. And once again, when it comes to like the Michael Parsons thing, of course, Michael wants a deal, but that's not his grievance. Like, that's not what's got him as irate as he is right now. Right. It's not what it is. And the Cincinnati thing, I think they made the wrong choice. So like they've made a lot of posturing, but I do think they ultimately made the wrong choice. As much as I love T. Higgins, I think Joe Burrow, look, you got to choose. You got to have something. So like, I guess give them T for now. If they're not going to be able to put anything else together, like let's have something to make us competitive. But as far as building a team, yeah, it does make it special, but I don't think I would have ever paid T. Higgins and Jamar Chase that much.
The Dallas Cowboys and Cincinnati Bengals. Look, I think we should pay Terry. I think we should have done it a while ago. I agree there. In terms of comparing us to them, that's where I would push back. With the Dallas Cowboys, it's Jerry Jones, especially with his big players. And I think he's quoted saying this, by the way, that when it's the big ones, Jerry, am in charge of this one.
Yeah.
But the little ones, I don't need that. Because the big ones come with the spotlight, right? And so this is just what he does, right? Like, and they will get paid in September. That's what he does. The Cincinnati Bengals, they're the person that waits way too long to book their flight, and then it's super expensive, but they end up paying it more often than not. Or they just go, I'm just going to skip the trip. So that's the Cincinnati Bengals. That's not what this is. This is a what? Good call.
The Cincinnati thing is like, Cincinnati, in my opinion, is just how not to build a football team. That's an incompetent franchise.
They are paying the wrong people.
But you also, when you talk about like some of the contract language and stuff, what happened to their draft picks? Like, it's just, there's a situation like they had the way that they do business is wrong. But I also think that the reason you see them waiting on things is because no one has a plan. And like right now, and no one wants to play for them. So you got Joe Burrow acting out there trying to convince people to like sign or stay or sign with them at all. And you got a front office that won't pay anybody. They just don't want, they don't want to pay anybody. So like, yeah, the only reason T. Higgins has that contract right now is Joe Burrow. I think I can say that. So like, if you want to do the comparison game as far as people waiting to pay, why don't you bring up San Francisco?
Right. But which, by the way, I don't want to be that in terms of waiting to pay people. So there, I would say Sauce Ricky, that would be a good, right. Don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like it.
Look, man, it's why
Pittsburgh didn't wait too long. DJ, what's up?
I'll tell you this. Every year, going back as far as being Redskins, Washington football team, Commanders fan, what was our favorite time of the year?
Off season.
Why?
Because it's all we had.
Dopamine like a motherfucker. Like, you know what this is? Sobering. You know what I remember? New England Patriots fans bitching in the offseason. You remember what I was telling them? Shut the fuck up. You know you guys are going to be in the playoffs. Like, why are y'all bitching? Like, we remember that? Yeah. Pittsburgh Steelers fans, you do the same thing every year, right? We don't do any split. Y'all doing it. You're off-season. Yeah, we know. You guys are boring and you got to fucking win shit. Let us be those guys. Like, this is part of that progress. We're going to have to remember, if things go right, you watching this show outside of Coach Lombard, because you're already there, will be an annoying prick of a fan that all the other fan bases hate. This is if things go correctly. You will be an asshole. That's what we want. We want certain things to happen. There's a progress. And part of that progress is bitching in the offseason because we're not winning the offseason.
It's true. It's true. We go over to Vindo. Shout out Vindo OG. QB 40, running back 5, wide receiver 10, O-line / tight end 15, D-line 10, linebacker 5, cornerback 15. Vindo, we got to talk about your linebackers.
Yeah, what's up?
Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, 5?
What's up?
Vindo, that's it. Like, that's the comment from us. Like, what are we doing there?
Yeah, what's up? Like, linebacker, just explain.
Linebacker
Like,
5.
maybe he... Like, there was a part of me when I was looking at it, I almost attributed Frankie Louvu's point to the D-line when I was going to give it to the linebackers, just because of the way I thought they
Same
were
thing with Von Miller?
Vaughn was absolutely one that I was like,
Tricky
okay,
one.
that was the thing. So, like, it was... So Vindo, we love you, dog. Like, we just want to know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. OG forever. But
Yeah.
I just, we need an explanation
just wanna
on
know.
5.
Yeah.
Bobby Wagner alone. Anyway, and then we go to, maybe it's a depth thing, because we do need depth. The Nathan Perry, shout out. Appreciate the love. Looking forward to the refresh. You guys have been killing it. Love you, Nathan. You obviously get the love. Ref the District was coming up at the same time we were. They are taking hopefully just a brief break, but for now they have announced that the channel is done. I see that they're still tweeting though, so you can still interact with those guys over there. KDot, any words there?
They were dope. And absolutely, in this podcast landscape, I would think the only other legitimate friends we have. Like, we're friendly, but we're friends. Even though Rio's fucking blowing the fuck up. He was here.
He was
here.
Tune
But
in.
and Rio was great. Rio was great. But and Rio was like amazing. We'd love to be on his show and have him back on here. Like, that would be phenomenal.
Absolutely.
He was a wonderful person to be with. But those guys felt like our like family in this space. And it felt like when they were doing certain things, like when they went to the Believe Network and everything, was like, we want to do shit like that. Like, we kind of looked at them and they lit a fire under us. So, like, that's why I think the one thing we probably have above any other podcast that I've seen is our consistency. Yeah. And I think one of those reasons we've stayed there is like looking at guys like Repetition.
100%. Couldn't have said that any better, KDot. And so that was the common mailbag. This was the show. This was District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode where we recap the joint practice. We look forward to the New England Patriots game tonight, 7:30 p.m. on CBS. And we talked more about the Terry McLaurin situation and, of course, went through the common mailbag as we always do. So before we sign off here, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and KDot.
Share this shit, baby. You know what to do.
You know what to do. Share this shit. And we will see you guys live later tonight to talk about this Commanders preseason game against the New England Patriots, what we loved, what we didn't, etc. Maybe throwing on some shades. Been a minute, KDot. Maybe throwing on some shades for it. Hey, win's a win if we do it. Or Patriots by 6 is the line. Not sure that's going to happen. So
I'm not that desperate.
Till then, take it easy, guys.
Hey, Terry McLaurin, a 2 first round.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.